So welcome everyone to this channel named Gaurav Kumar Jain. And first of all, thank you very much for supporting the channel and also for regularly sharing the links of all the videos I'm putting on my channel in your groups and making them reach to the maximum students possible. So we are here to develop this real-time newspaper app today. Okay, and this is the first screen. Fine, which the user is going to come across when he will first access the app. So I'm already done with the designing part. Fine, and there are two more screens we will be using for this app. The second one is going to be the user screen, which I have named as reader. And then there is one more screen which I have named as newspaper, that the admin can access for publishing the news. Okay, so let's first start defining the code for the first screens component. So there is an image button which I have placed over here, not the image button, it's a label box basically, which I have placed over here on this direction sign, and the name of this button is proceed. So I would like to first define the required code for this proceed button. So I am using this uneven block and placing it over here. Let's convert it back into block based coding. The name of this button is proceed. So you can hit this drop down and select the name of the label box from here. Fine. Okay. Now if the user will input a reader in these two fields, that is in the username field and the password field, I would like him to get redirected on this beautiful readers panel after hitting this button. Okay, and if he will enter admin in both these fields before hitting this button, then I would like him to get redirected on this beautiful admin screen. Let's define the code now for this proceed label box. I'm converting it back into text based coding. Now inside this I am using this if else loop. So if, now how can we get the input which the user is going to define over here in these two fields? So we guys can make use of get text block, absolutely right. Okay, so I'm going to come on this design panel and let's check out the ID of this component over here. So the ID of this component is username. Okay, I'm copying it from here. Let's come back on this coding panel and make use of this get text block. Okay, now here I am going to write down the ID of this component. So if the text inputted by the user over here is equal to reader and so because we want to put a check on these two fields, there are two different components on which we want to put a check, right? So how can we do that? We can make use of this AND logical operator. Let's copy this whole thing and place it just after this AND operator like this. Okay, now what is the ID of this field? It is password, I think. So let's copy the ID from here and paste it in place of this username. So if the user is a reader, he can enter reader in these two fields and hit this proceed button. Once he is done with that, I would like him to get redirected on this beautiful readers panel. So how can we get him redirected on the screen? We can make use of this set screen block, right? The ID of this screen is reader. Okay, now let's come on this UI controls panel and make use of some sound blocks so as to make the app more interactive. So the first block I am using is this play sound block, and the second block I'm using is this play speech block. Let's convert it into block based coding, and I'm going to hit this drop down which is there inside this play sound block and select a relevant sound from the sound library. So let's select this one. Yeah, this one sounds pretty nice. Okay, now as soon as the user is going to come on the readers panel, I would like him to hear something from the background, some speech from the background. So this is what he's going to hear. Hi reader, you will get to hear a news very soon. Okay, so this is what the reader is going to hear as soon as he will come on this readers panel. Fine. Now let's define the code for this else part. So we can copy this whole thing from here, this whole if loop, and let's place it in place of these two curly brackets. So now if the user is an admin, he can write down admin in both the reader as well as username and password field, right? Once he is done with entering admin in these two fields, he can hit this button and automatically I would like him to get redirected on this beautiful newspaper screen. So that's how we can do it, right? And let's change the notification sound. He's going to hear when he will come on this panel. Just give me a short moment. I'm facing some issue over here. I'm not able to get redirected on that sounds library platform. Let me refresh this panel once. If you guys are enjoying the lecture, do like and share the video so that more and more students can come and join the class and enjoy these free online coding classes I am providing on my channel. Thank you very much in advance for showing your support. Okay, so let's set this drop down and select a relevant sound from this sound library. Yeah, this sounds pretty good. So I'm selecting this third one. Fine. Now we are going to make some changes in this speech part. So because we are this code is for this admin screen, right? This admin screen. So here we need to change this to admin. So this is what the admin is going to hear now in the background once he is done with coming on this beautiful admins panel. Hi admin, you may publish the news now. Okay, so this is what the admin is going to hear. We are done with defining the required code for this proceed button. Now let's come on this newspaper screen. Fine. So there is a photo select button which I've placed right on the top of this mobile screen, and then when you'll come on this design panel, you will see that the theme I have selected for this admin panel is crushed velvet. Okay, and this is a text area which you can easily find in this design toolbox of this design panel. Then this is again one more text area where the admin can write down the news in English, and here he can write down the news in English, Hindi, sorry. And besides that, if you want to select any topic, he can make use of this drop down, or else in place of this drop down, what we can do, let's eliminate this drop down from here and make use of a text, an input text box. I think this is going to be the correct choice for this admins panel. Yes. Okay, and here I am writing title or topic. Okay, and I would like to get this text reflected in the center of this input box. So how can we do that? We can come down and make some changes in the text alignment field. So I'm changing it from left to center. So now the title or topic is going to get reflected right in the center. Fine. Okay, and then we have a button over here with ID publish. Let's come back on this coding panel and define the required code for this publish button. So I'm going to take this uneven block and place it over here. Let's convert it into block based coding and select the ID of this button in this first drop down. So the ID of this button is publish. So when the user will hit this publish button, after whatever uh, image he has uploaded using this photo select button, the topic over here, then the news in Hindi and the news in English, all these things should get saved uh, in real time on a table, in a table like structure on the data browser connected to this app. Now how can we make this possible? We can come on this data tab of toolbox and let's make use of this create record block, which is going to help us in creating the records on the data browser connected to this application, right? So I would like a table with name news to get created. Now inside this table, what all things you would like to save? So the first thing that I would like to save is the photo which the admin is going to upload, and it should be relevant to the image, relevant to the news. Okay, then I am going to save the topic. Then I would like to save this Hindi news, and finally I would like to save the English version of the news. So there are 4 different columns which I have defined over here inside this table. Now how can we get the required value for this photo named column? That's what we are going to see. So the photo which the admin will upload using this photo select button, if you want to get it, you can make use of this get image URL option. Now whatever the ID of this photo select button is, you can mention the same ID over here. So the ID of this photo select button is news. So we can get the URL of the photograph the admin will upload using this photo select button using this simple get image URL code. Okay, let's now get the required value for this topic named column. So we can get it from this input box, the ID of which is, okay, let me just change the ID of this input box. So I'm renaming it to topic. So we can write down topic over here. Let's copy this whole thing, and now I am going to place it over here just next to this Hindi text. So from where can we get the value for this Hindi named field? We can get it from this text area, the ID of which is Hindi. So I am changing it to Hindi, and then we can do the same thing for this 4th field also. We can get the required input from this text area, the ID of which is English, for this field English, right? Now once the user is done with hitting this publish button, this table is going to get created, and besides that, I would like to give a notification. I would like the admin to receive a notification that the news has been published successfully. Now how can we do that? We can make use of the place speech block, which you can easily find in the UI controls tab of the toolbox. Let's search for it. So this is the one. I am placing it over here. Okay, so now we can replace this whole text which is present inside the place speech block. So I'm replacing it with you successfully published the news. Okay, fine. Now once the admin is done with publishing the news, I would like all the readers who are using this app, fine, to get a notification in real time on their mobile phones about this news published by the admin. Okay, how can we do that? See, if you want the users to get a notification in real time, so for doing that you can make use of this on record event block. So I'm going to place it over here. Now the table which is getting created when the user will hit this publish button, it is news. So news is the name of the table which is getting created. Now we can copy the name of the name of the table from here, and we can place it in place of this my table. Fine. Now what type of event is taking place in this news named table? So create type of event is taking place. What we can do, we can come over here and check the event type which is mentioned by default in this on record event block. So it is create only. Fine. So we need not to make any changes over here in this line of code. Now whatever is there inside this if loop, we need to eliminate everything. Fine, I'm done with that. Now if I want the readers to receive a notification in real time. So for doing that, we can make use of a counter variable. Let's do that. So I am declaring a counter variable right on the top. So the way we can do it on this JavaScript platform is by making use of this simple keyword named var. Fine, var x, and let's assign it a value. Fine, so that's how you can declare a variable and assign it a value also in one go. Now if the user will enter reader over here in these two fields, so he's going to get redirected on this beautiful readers panel. This is the code which is going to help the reader in getting redirected on this readers panel, right? Now once he is there on this panel, I would like the value of x to get changed from 0 to 1. So for reader it is going to be 1, and for this admin it is going to be 2. So this is the only change that you have to make over here. Now let's come inside this if loop of this on record event. Now here we need to mention a condition. See, if x is equal to 1, so only the readers are going to get a notification in the form of speech in real time on the respective devices. So this is a condition that you can mention inside this if loop, and let's now make use of this play speech block, which you can easily find in the UI controls panel. So admin published a news recently. Fine. So this is what the readers are going to hear in the background once the admin is done with publishing the news. Now besides this, I would like, with whatever topic, whatever topic the user has mentioned, the admin has mentioned over here for publishing the news, I want that topic to get reflected over here in the options section of this drop down in real time. Now how can we make it happen? So what we can do, we can make use of this read records block, because all the topics are going to get saved in this news named table. So we need to fetch the required data from this table only. So we can copy the name of the table from here and let's place it in place of this my table. Okay, now how can we update this drop down with all the topics? Okay, let's check it out. So again, if there are let's say 3 or 5 news which admin has published, okay, then there will be 3 or 5 different topics. Now what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to pull all the topics from this news named table. The best way is to make use of a list type of variable. Now how can we make use of a list type of variable in order to pull the required information in the options section of this drop down? That's what we are going to see. So we can declare a list type of variable in between these two lines. So it is going to be news read. This is the variable I'm using. Then so I have assigned it an empty list. I have assigned an empty list to this variable news read. Now how can we get all the topics from this news named table? So what we can do, we can make use of this append item property and append all the topics to this news read variable. Fine. And how can we get all the topics? We can make use of this simple code records I dot. Now what is the name of the column in which all the topics are getting saved? So we can come up over here and the topics are getting saved in this topic named field. We can write down topic over here like this. Fine. So this code over here is going to help us in pulling the required details in real time over here in the options section, for the options section of this drop down. Now how can we get all the topics reflected in the options section of this drop down? That's what we have to see. So we can make use of this set property block, which you can easily find again in the UI controls tab of the toolbox. So let's come down. This is the one, you can place it over here, and now the ID of this drop down is topic. And what are we trying to do? We want to set the options for this drop down, right? So we need to write down options over here. And from where can we get all the options? We can get all the options from this variable named news read. Fine. Okay. So we are done with defining the required code for this drop down. Now let's define the required code for this get news button present at the bottom of this panel. So I am making use of this on event block. Once the user is done with publishing the news, automatically a table named news is going to get created, and this all the readers who are using this app will get a real-time notification on their respective devices because of this code that we have defined over here. Now automatically whatever topic the admin has published the news for, I would like the readers to also know about that topic. How can we do that? So what we can do, we can come over here right in the end, and we can make use of this play speech block again. So I'm pasting it over here, and let's now change this to news have been published for the topic. Now from where can we get the topic? Records I -1. Okay, and then we need to place double inverted commas over here. Records I -1 dot. Now what is the name of the column in which the topics are getting saved? So they are getting saved in this column named topic. Fine. Now why I have written this I -1? If you don't know about this, you guys can check out the previous lectures of mine which I have published on my channel, because that is in one of the lectures I have explained the use of this I -1 code. But in short, it is used for pulling the details from the last row that gets created in a table. Okay, fine. So this is what now the user is going to hear. Besides, let's do one more thing. Let's copy this whole read records block and place it inside this if loop. Okay, because I want that this code should get executed only if the value of x is equal to 1. It should not get executed for the admin's device. Fine. Now we are going to come on this uneven block, and let's now change this ID to the ID of this button. So the ID of this button is get news. Let's hit this drop down and select this get news from here. Now when the reader will hit this get news option, whatever topic he is going to select from here, I would like the user to see the pic uploaded by the admin and the news uploaded by the admin getting reflected on this reader's panel. Fine. Based on the language he is going to select. Suppose if he will select Hindi, if he selects Hindi in this drop down, so I would like the Hindi version of the news to get reflected over here. If he selects English from this drop down, I would like the English version of the news to get reflected over here. How can we do this? So for that, what we can do, we can first make use of the read records block option in order to pull the required details for this topic which the user will select from here from the table named news. Now how can we put a check on this topic field? We can make use of this get text block, and here we can write down the name of this component. The ID of this component is topic, so it should match with the topic the user is going to mention while the admin is going to mention while publishing the news. Fine. Now whatever topic the user will select from this drop down, I would like the news relevant to that topic should get reflected over here. But it is totally user's call whether he want to see the Hindi version or he want to see the English version. Suppose he want to see the Hindi version. How can we help him doing that? So we can put a check on that Hindi version field. So if this get text, what is the ID of this component? It is language, right? Language. If this language is equal to Hindi, so I would like to set the text. I would like to set the text for this component, the ID of which is news box, equal to the Hindi version of the news. So where is the Hindi version getting saved? It is getting saved in this Hindi named field. That's how you can do it. Okay, else let's copy this whole thing and place it over here. Else if language selected by the user is English, okay, then I would like the user to see the English version of the news getting reflected over here in this text box. Okay, once the news is here, I would like some artificial intelligence person to read the whole news. How can we do that? So again, it's very simple. We guys can make use of this play speech block. Okay, or else what we can do, we can put this news over here, and let's do one thing. Let's create one more button. So this is how you can create one more button, and then let's replace it with read. So this is going to be the read button. Let's define the code for this read button. So on record, we would like to use this uneven block. But before that, we are done with defining the required code for fetching the input for this text area, but we haven't defined the code yet for fetching the image which the admin has uploaded for the news. how can we fetch the image? So we can make use of set image URL, and then the ID of this image button is image1. Okay, from where can we get the image URL? We can get it from this column named photo. So I'm placing it over here, and let's copy this whole thing and place it over here inside this else part 2. Okay, done with defining the required code for this get news button. Now let's define the code for this read button. So once the news is there on the readers panel, if he wants someone else to read the news for him, he can make use of this read button. Now first of all, I would like to check the language the reader has selected. So if the language is Hindi, what we can do, we can now define a play speech block inside this if loop. Where is that play speech block? Placing it over here, and now we can first get the text from which component? From this component named news box. Okay, now after this, so the news is going to be in Hindi, right? So we need to select Hindi from this third drop down. Let's do that quickly. So Hindi, and then if it is in English, let's copy this whole thing, and first of all we need to place an else, then we can paste the copied code. So if the language selected by the user is I would like the user to hear the speech in English, right? So we can select English from this third drop down. I think we are now done with defining the required code for all the components. Let's now run this app and check out whether it is going to give the desired output or not. So I'm going to make use of this link. Let's run this app on 2 different browsers. So this is going to be the first browser on which I am running this app, and on this first device you have to assume it as if it is the first device, and then this one is the second device. So on the first one I am going to access the admin's panel. Let's make use of these headphones to hear the sound also. Okay, so in order to access the admin panel, we need to write down admin in small over here and admin in small over here also, and then we can hit this proceed button. Let's see what is going to happen.
Hi admin. You may publish the news now.
Okay, so we are on this admin's panel. Let's write down reader over here in this username and reader over here in this password field.
Hi reader. You will get to hear a news very soon.
Okay, so we are here on this readers panel. Now let's publish a news using this admin's panel. So I'm going to hit this photo select button, which is going to redirect me on one of the location present on my device I'm using. Okay, so I would like to publish a news related to Corona, and here is the topic, Corona update. What is the Hindi version? So this is the Hindi version of the news. I'm writing it over here, and then the English version of the news, I am writing it over here. Fine. Okay, let's now publish the news and see whether this reader is going to get a notification in real time for this publish or not.
You successfully published the news.
Great.
Admin published a news recently.
Okay, so as you can see,
News have been published for the topic Corona update.
okay, so the Corona update topic is visible to us over here. Let's now select a language. So I'm selecting Hindi for now and hit this news button. Okay, so the image is visible to us over here, and this whole news is also getting reflected over here on this readers panel. Let's hit this read option and see what's gonna happen.
भारत ने शुक्रवार को 3-3-2-7-30 ताजा कोरोना वायरस संक्रमणों की सूचना दी, जो MOH4W के अनुसार 16-2-6-3-6-9-5 तक संची कैसियोलार ले गया।
So everything is working
यह
perfectly
पहली बार
fine.
है जब
Let's
किसी भी
change
देश ने
the,
केवल 24 घंटों में 300,000 से अधिक मामले दर्ज किए हैं।
Okay, so now it
देश
is in
में
English.
ऑक्सीजन की कमी
Let's hit this
और
read
लड़खड़ाती स्वास्थ्य प्रणाली के कारण भारत में सबसे अधिक एकल दिवसीय स्पाइक में 2,263 मौतें हुईं।
So right now, the Hindi version
घातक
is going on.
संक्रमण
That
से
is the reason
मरने
we are not
वालों
able to
की
hear
संख्या
that English version. But once
1,868 है।
that artificial intelligence
देश में अब
voice
2
is done with is speaking the whole paragraph or whole news, the English version will start. So that's how you can develop a full-fledged, real-time news reader app on code.org using the basic features of Applab. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture a lot. In case you have any query, anything related to this topic, anything related to whatever we have discussed in this class, you were not able to understand it, you can reach me through the comment section. Do like and share this video in your group so that it can reach to maximum students possible. Thank you very much for joining me in this lecture and have a great day. Bye-bye.